Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about parables. As you read in chapter 2 of American Born Chinese, a parable is a short, simple story that teaches a lesson. We see a lot of parables in the Bible, but we're not going to be talking about the Bible. We're going to be talking about American Born Chinese and how we see parables in this story specifically. In chapter 2, Jin has a flashback of his mom telling him a parable. And in that flashback, we see a sequence of events. First of all, when his mom is telling him about the parable, he mentions that there was once a young boy and his family that lived near a marketplace, and when they were living there, the boy pretended to be a vendor. Then the family moved by a cemetery, and there the boy pretends to perform burials. At last, they move close to a school, and living around the school prompts the boy to study, to learn, to read. Okay, so overall, we could say that the lesson of this parable is that people are shaped by their environment. And so this brings me to another idea that I wanted to talk about, which is the idea of nature versus nurture. It's a debate that's, as old as time. And so essentially, the nature versus nurture debate is asking a very essential question, which is a person's behavior inherited, in other words, something that you're born with or that you have by nature? Or is a person's behavior acquired or nurtured through things like your environment? So now the environment can refer to things like the physical setting of a place that you live in, but it could also refer to things, for example, like the people that you hang out with, the family that you grew up in. And I think a lot of you did touch on that in the anticipation guide that I gave you last week. All right, so I wanted to extend that a little bit more to what we see in the book as well. So we don't only see the parable in chapter 2, we also see it a lot in the Monkey King story itself. All right, so I want us to be thinking about how a parable is seen through the Monkey King. In other words, how is the Monkey King story a parable? And so let's first talk about what happens with the Monkey King. Well, we know first of all that the Monkey King is in the very first installment that he is a ruler of Flowerfruit Mountain, that he rules with a firm but gentle hand, it says in there too. That he's a deity that's very loved and respected by all of his monkey citizens. However, when he faces discrimination for being a monkey when he goes to the dinner party, he turns violent and he goes crazy. He beats up all the other gods. He wants to change himself. He goes home and he thinks about how he can get rid of his monkey fur smell. I mean, he goes all out. And of course, you're going to read now chapter 4. So what happens next? Well, what I want you to do first is to read chapter 4 now, if you haven't done so already. When you're ready, then you'll click the video to come back um, to the next installment that we're going to be talking about. All right, so lots of crazy things happen in chapter 4, which is the second installment of the Monkey King. I love the story so much. So we learned that not only does the Monkey King impose a rule that all monkeys have to wear shoes, which, by the way, is not in their nature. That's not what monkeys are meant to do. We also learn that he transforms himself into the great sage equal of heaven. He is definitely not the same deity we first met in chapter 1. When the other gods are tormented by the Monkey King or the great sage equal of heaven, they beg Seiyotsu's emissaries for divine intervention. So when Seiyotsu does attempt to make the Monkey King, aka the great sage equal of heaven, come to his senses, the Monkey King refuses, which prompts Seiyotsu to imprison the Monkey King under, well, you guys know it, he imprisons him under a mountain of rock as his punishment. So we're trying to get toward this idea of the parable, right? So let's think about a couple of things that happened in chapter 1 and chapter 4. First of all, how does the Monkey King change from chapter 1 to chapter 4? I mean, we saw lots of changes even in chapter 1, But now that you've read the second part, the second installment of the Monkey King story, I mean, tremendous, tremendous changes, right? Secondly, what is it? What is the root cause of this change? Okay. And that will get you to think of this question, or to be able to answer this question, which is, what is the lesson in the Monkey King's parable? All right, so this time around, you're not going to post the question in the video. What I'm going to want you to do is to actually answer the question in the Google Classroom stream. So I'll go ahead and put the question there. When you're ready, go ahead and comment. Even if somebody else already commented, you're going to comment too with your idea to this question of what is the lesson in the Monkey King's parable. All right, now your assignment is to have your turn with writing. So what you're going to be doing next is you're going to be creating your own graphic parable. In other words, you're going to be creating something very similar to what we saw in chapter 2. You know the story of the little boy with his mom and how they moved from place to place. It was only about 3 frames, right? And it's in graphic format. You're going to be creating your own parable in that sort of format. Okay, so a couple of things to keep in mind. Your graphic parable must have a clear beginning, middle, and end. So it should be a complete story. It does have to have at least 3 frames or 3 boxes with pictures and words. And obviously, it has to have a clear lesson. All right. Last but not least, please be original. You know, don't go into the Bible and try to copy something a parable that's from the Bible, or don't try to do a fable like the tortoise and the rabbit. You know, try to be original with your story. All right, and of course, and more importantly, have fun with your assignment. This is supposed to be something that you're applying to your own studies, and just have fun with it. I really look forward to reading your parables. Thank you.